Do you need to go to BC?
No, 600 BC.
Oh, yes. I'm very simple, practical minded. I hear BC and I think, oh. Okay, is the tape going?
I hope so.
Okay. We'll talk about another kind of BC.
That's what you meant? Remind you of that?
Yes. Now, I do not know, I have no idea how many times the next level might choose to have souls that it is still pleased with return to a human environment in order to develop more. There's no better environment than a human environment. Than when the human environment is its most rotten. I mean, the condition of the world today is the perfect environment for us. There is no restraint at all in openly pushing everything that is against the next level. No restraint at all. I mean, even you can go into Muslim countries, Islam, and find considerable more restraint and care about certain elements that are against the next level. And this nation that we're in is probably the least restrained in areas that are even unseen as destructive areas. Now I'm going to touch on some toes here, certainly with influences. And this is tough. This is a tough one. And I'm warning you about it because it's hard to make the adjustment to realize that there is truth to this. The two elements that probably grow to be the greatest social enemies of the next level are those elements that are held in place by space aliens that are not working for our Father's kingdom, that bind people to the family. The family and religion are the worst drugs there are. Now, and they elevate them together. You go to your religion to get married. I mean, they go hand in hand. If you want to ensure a good, tight-knit family, it's one that worships together and does their religious ritual together and believes in and practices to the best of their ability their religious belief. Religion is not of the next level. It is a distortion of truth from those who are against the next level. Those who work against the next level have taken the truth and the words of the next level, the concepts that relate to the change from human to the next level, and twist them just enough and put them back into the heads and call them religion. And they become impossible to make change. There's only one way you can get into the next level, and that's as an individual. As long as the next level is pleased with you as a student, as an individual. You can't take somebody else with you. It's an impossibility. Therefore, you have to be an individual. Now, there are some in the classroom who had once relationships with others who are in the classroom, and yet they've lost that consciousness altogether of that relationship. The next level has the distinct characteristic of being non-sexual. Non-sexual. When you read about the Pleiadians, or any of these space groups, space aliens that have identity as female or male, you know at the outset that they are not from the next level. That does not mean the next level does not use them for certain things that they want to accomplish, any more than the next level uses evil influences to come and attack you in order to give you strength. But they are not of the next level. There is not the youngest member of the next level who is still male or female. And you can even find that in the good book if you choose to pay attention to it. You can even find in the good book that unless you leave all behind, all ties, attachments, everything of this world, and come and follow me, and who is my family? These are my family. And yet, does religion acknowledge that? They can't possibly acknowledge it. The only way that the Luciferians ensure ignorance is to keep you drunk on, or to keep humans drunk on, reproductive activity and religion. And the ones who are the most righteous in that behavior are the ones least likely to ever have their eyes open to receive a deposit or recognize the truth. Very frequently the ones who have the deposit are the ones who the next level by their little meters can see that individual or that soul, I'm saying individual because we don't know when you received a deposit. If you received a deposit a long time ago and that soul has come back several times, then as we said earlier, it might be in a very young vehicle but be a very old soul because it has so much control already developed and has already rid itself of so much self-concerns. But souls are vehicles as we see them. Well, when T and I began to awaken, right before these vehicles began to receive a little bit more next level mind in order to try to, do things to our heads, the lives that we were in just fell apart. And all of a sudden, lives that were just a few months prior to that were productive in every way. Suddenly, they were just falling apart. People who months before would have complimented us and been proud of us suddenly were against us and would criticize us and tell everyone how bad we were. Now, is that bad? No. Might be bad for the world, wasn't bad for us. It helped us separate from the world. It helped us in our accelerated growth. You may know enough of the history of T and Do to know that we both spent time in jail. T was in jail for a month. This vehicle was in jail for 6 months. It finally received a sentence of 4, so they owe me 2. But what happened is that we were so taken with when this mind was coming in and our becoming something else was happening, that we were out of it, and we were like two crazy individuals that were crazy in the same way simultaneously, not knowing what was going on. And as the mind came in, we could not function. We had trouble driving cars. I was telling helpers that it was like we had to learn to do everything that the vehicles had previously known how to do. We had to learn to do them over. It's like these creatures had come in from next level and had to learn to do human things all over again. And I can remember the first time we drove into a city after we'd gone through this mental change, and we were scared to death of the traffic. And yet the vehicles grew up in cities where the traffic was insane. So I'm just telling you the changes that took place. Now, I don't know if this is entirely accurate, but it serves the purpose. As far as we're concerned, when the one who's called Jesus was beginning to receive a significant amount of mind. Humans called it, because that's the vernacular of the writers of religious history, called it Holy Spirit. Pure, more pure mind than human mind. And at the time that he had received enough mind that he could start doing a task, was symbolically, whether sacred or not, I don't know, was the time with John the Baptist, right before he began to minister. Well, T and I received that mind just before we began to minister. When we first began to minister, we didn't know what we were doing, and we were scared, we were going around, we were so confused, and we read the Bible, threw the Bible away, read everything we could get our hands on of Madame Blavatsky and the Ascended Masters, and threw them away, and then finally we knew that we couldn't read anything that offered anything to us. And when there was question among us, there was something with T that I recognized that T had a relationship with T's older member that was closer than I had with that older member. Now, we considered ourselves, and still consider ourselves, a partnership. But T is clearly an older member than Doe. Now, older is measured by development. But you know what's funny? I can count on T's pace on the racetrack, and I doubt if I'll ever catch her. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is our development of change and of service and ridding ourselves of self, increasing the mind that comes from our older member from the next level through our older members, that moves us up the ladder. It cannot be measured by time. The funny thing is, time is measured by effort. You can actually move out of, physically and scientifically move out of your time consciousness if your effort is applied enough toward your change. You will move into a different perception of time altogether. If you stay down in what your old perception of time was, you will retard your development. You have to let these clumsy changes take place as you receive more next level mind and abort more human mind. And you go through clumsiness, and you go through periods of just saying, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what this is all about. Can you help me? And since T and I have experienced that, we're so pleased when someone reaches that point of saying, I don't know who I am anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm just desperate. And they couldn't be in a better place than when they are desperate to move forward. You know, I could be wrong, and I have to stop right there since I said that. Because there's nothing more important than learning to put into your vocabulary, into your vernacular, the qualifying statements that indicate your awareness of your ignorance. If you think you're right on most of the statements you make, it is because you do not perceive your inaccuracy. It's like all the people that are observing the elephant, and they're all standing at different places, and one sees this and one sees that. Everything that you make a judgment of what you're seeing, whether it's your classmates' behavior, you're seeing it from your perspective that is based upon your background, your knowledge, your genetic package, your education, all that, and you're seeing only one facet. So if you're stupid enough to say with some authority, I saw so-and-so and so-and-so was doing that, and you're making judgments of others, it's simply because you haven't learned that we don't have the capacity to make accurate judgments. The more I grow, the more I know about how little judgment I have. So one of the very basic elements in our classroom is qualifying your statements. But if you do it falsely, if you say, well, I may be wrong, or I could be wrong, or, learn these little phrases and you tack them on at the beginning, but then after you tack them on, you say with confidence what it was that you were about to say, it's a mockery. And you haven't really learned that you're seeing only one little facet of it, and that facet of it cannot be trusted. Okay. What I was starting to say when I said I might be wrong, I feel that we, because of you, because of these new ones, because of this second wave, if you want to play the prophecy game of the human religious or the charismatics, as far as I'm concerned, you are now being lifted out of the world. I mean, according to their little fun and games of prophecy, the second rapture is taking place because you are literally being lifted out of the world. The world will not know how to find you. Literally not know how to find you. You will have left it. You will have been elevated out of it. Now, I feel that this second wave, or this going out and holding meetings for these that we are holding meetings for, is a very strong indication of the closeness of the completion of this task. And influences would hammer at my head and say, but Joe, how can you think that? Because you have these new students and they need so much training and they need this and they need to overcome that and they need to overcome this and that. And how's that going to happen in such a short time? And look at those others, they had 18 years off in some place and they learned all these things. The next level knows what they're doing. Some of the first will be last, some of the last will be first. You can climb mountains overnight if your desire is strong enough. You can change overnight if your desire is strong enough. Some who have been in the classroom since the classroom started may be very slow to change in certain ways and very slow to apply effort. And so what comes in? An influence comes in to have them jealous of someone who's been in the classroom a short time but has had much change. Why does the next level permit that? Because that's a perfect opportunity for them to exert more effort and not listening to that jealousy and doing something about it. Changing. Getting rid of that rebellion and getting rid of that resistance to letting go of your old way. You know, the next level is very, very refined. Makes me sick when I hear again and again and again about how the essence of dignity was Chaplain Onassis. And yet I know that I've never known anything to touch the dignity of my older member. And yet I also know that most of the class was incapable of even recognizing the dignity that my older member had because of your youth and your lack of perception. The more you learn, the more restrained you are, the more control you have, the more quick you are to tune in to where your older member's mind is, instead of wanting your older member to tune into where your mind is. We've covered a lot of territory in a little time tonight. And I want you to think on these things, and if you have anything to ask, I've got a whole pocket full of things that I was going to bring up that a lot of these I haven't touched on because of the way our meeting has gone. And yet I almost feel like if we don't stop, anything else we say will have gone beyond the point of saturation. Can I assist you with any questions? Start ready? I'll get back to whatever you'd like to.
I thought you asked us if we wanted to get back to the soul.
I think that we covered that. What was meant by that was, as a soul, I may be wrong on this, but I do not think that, let's say a soul returned, theoretically, a soul returned in this civilization, say one soul returned 6 times, or 3 times, 2 times, once. I do not think that it requires so many returns. I think it depends upon the effort applied by that individual and its thirst for nourishment and the application of that nourishment that determines how many times a return is made. I do not think that we can judge areas of change by what you deal with. Now, this is a very important thing for you to understand. Just because you deal with certain things does not mean that you're going to have to come back and conquer that thing. Dealing with something can be keeping it in check. The Easterns believe in you pay for what you do with karma. And it's true. But karma can happen very, very quickly. What you got into, you have to get out of. And to the same degree that you got into it, it's going to take that degree to get out of it. But how fast that happens is determined on how thirsty you are, how close you stay to the source of your nourishment, and the application of that nourishment. It can happen very quickly. That change can occur very quickly. And we do not have the capacity to measure. I do not have the capacity to measure. If a spacecraft came down right now and we all marched aboard, and I may think in my mind that, well, I wonder what the next level is going to do with this student or that student or that student, because I'm not aware that they've overcome this or that or that or that or that. It's not. I am doing my task to the best of my ability, and I have been proven many times to assess someone's development wrongly. And all I can do is ask my older member, how do I help this one more? But I cannot offer you help if you are not asking for it. Now, when you come to meetings like we're having right now, everybody gets help, even those who didn't ask for it. I mean, you get nourishment, but it isn't going to do you any good if you aren't hungry when you come in here. If you aren't hungry and thirsty, it won't do you any good. If you sit and listen and say, boy, that really sounds great, boy, that's really good stuff, and no change takes place, it doesn't get anywhere. Now, I cannot build the fire of thirst in you. You can build it. If you say, well, how can I build it? Ask. If the answer doesn't come, ask again. Until you convince T that you mean it. And T will send you the help to increase that thirst. There is nothing that you can ask that cannot be supplied if you really want it. Now, a lot of you ask for things because you want them 18 hours a day, but you don't want them those other 6. I'm not kidding. It's like when you're off in your bunk in the night, or you've got this little time by yourself, and you're just having at it, going at things in your head that are totally contrary to what you have asked for. Or you're participating in certain things. Mentally, our mental participation has already set the stage for our physical participation. And if we were permissive of what went on in our head, the damage has been done. We might as well have done the physical, because our system has been poisoned. I told you that you have to abort human mind in order to take in next level mind. The same thing happens in reverse. You begin aborting next level mind as you insist on taking back in human mind. They don't occupy the same space. There's a certain level of next level mind that can cohabitate with certain level of human mind. higher level human mind will not come into your pillowcase until you get rid of and show your resolve, show your commitment to staying rid of it. If you bring it back, next level mind will be pulled from you to the degree that you brought it back. And then you'll have to convince the next level that you want it back. They said, well, you asked for it and I gave it to you. What'd you do with it? You brought things in that caused it to be aborted. It's like, how can you believe me when I say that they can't both coexist? I can't count the times that students have said, I'm going to lick this, I want none of it, it's hideous. And yet certain hours of the day or certain number of times during that week they will go and participate in the very thing that they said. They will let themselves be blinded, they will move into another headspace because they refuse to get past the DTs. You know, when you're withdrawing from addictions to concepts and activity of the human world, you have to stay committed around the clock to the abortion of those things that poison next level mind, or that cannot coexist with next level mind. I'm telling you the truth. You can bank on it. I don't believe I should say I could be wrong, because I know from experience that they cannot coexist. I know that my older member pulls away from me when I do things that do not please my older member. And I can sit there until my throat is dry saying, how can I get closer to my older member? And yet I continue to do the things that my older member does not want to be in my presence. And you can say, but how does my older member even know that I'm doing them? Listen, we reek of what we think. We reek of what we do. I wish at times I did not know what was on your minds, what thoughts you participate in. I have to work at not knowing because I don't want to invade you, and I can't tell you what you should be doing. You have choice to do what you want to do, and yet I can't help but be aware of what you're dealing with by choice. Now, initially, when it comes to you, it was not by choice. It comes to you because you asked for growth. That difficulty came to you because you asked for growth. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to abort it. You've got to learn to control the mechanism of the brain. You've got to learn to be quiet. You've got to learn when to not have thoughts. You should be, I'll hand it to some of these who meditate and meditate and meditate. If they really know how to clear and stay clear and sustain clear. But you can't have your balloon filled up with dead clear. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere either. If you want to progress, you have to be in a mode of taking in. Taking in. Now, when I am asking and I am receiving nourishment and I am asking for the situations that will help me conquer, and they are sent to me, and let's say it took me 15 rounds in the ring with that fellow, and he still licked me. What am I going to do? Quit? Say I'm no good? Or am I going to say, if he's the guy you want me to fight with, I want to prove to you that I can lick him. It's not for you to decide who you need to fight with. It's for the next level to decide who you fight with. It's your job to win the bouts. Win the, what do they call it? The rounds. Win the rounds. And the same guy that comes to you, if you had a weakness there, the next level will use that weakness from here on out to strengthen you. To strengthen you. So that when he comes, what used to be 15 rounds becomes 14, and then it's 16 and it becomes 13, it's 17 and it becomes 11, and then it's 14 and it's 7, and it starts going up and then it starts going. You might fall back, but then it starts going up until you have that guy where you can handle him the first round. And then you have that guy that you used to think was insurmountable, and you've got him by the first blow. Because you used to be in that whole first round with him before you even realized you were fighting. I'm serious, and you know that I'm serious. That's the reason you're laughing. Because you would sit and you would fight that guy a whole round before you even recognized what was going on. And then soon you learn what's going on, and you decide, I'm not going to go 3 minutes with this guy. I'm going to shorten it and shorten it and shorten. Now, your effort shortens your time. Increases your development. Gets you moving faster on the track. Actually, the track becomes slower for you. Time becomes slower for you.
When you really begin to survive those bouts and have it at your control, it slows down.
That's right. Time slows down.
You mean like a week will feel like a month?
No, a month will feel like a day. And to me, it hasn't sped up, it has slowed down. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
It's gone just the reverse, where it's the time has meant nothing to me. And even this little idea is what, once you get into a vehicle that is not destructive, that is not designed to decay and perish like a human vehicle is designed. You know, if the AMA learned everything that there was to learn about every disease, of course everything they call a disease is not a disease. It's part of a design to recycle that vehicle. I mean, it's not supposed to. It's not designed to go on and go on and go on. By next level standards, it was nothing but a plant in a container at the outset. There was no life in it. There was no soul until next level put a deposit in it. Once it puts a deposit in, then it becomes something that has life in it for the first time. But even the possessor of that life has to do something about it in order to keep life there and make it grow. If the life grows and grows and becomes bigger and becomes stronger, then time all but stands still. And it's almost, the way it stands still is like a day. You can get 1,000 years work done in a day. No decay is taking place. There is no destruction taking place. It's now this sounds crazy. It's hard to get this in your head, and it's irrelevant. It's to us at this point. But it's what is meant by next level vehicles, physical containers for your souls. When you are a member in the next level, is not designed to go out on. Now, they may have you go to the wardrobe and take a vehicle that is designed to go out after a period of time. But you would take it off like you would take off a suit of clothes and not lose any consciousness. There would be no shock, there would be no change. You'd know, wow, it's time to get rid of this suit, because this suit was designed to go out after a period of time. There are other suits that are designed imperishable. But what's more important is what is in the suit that becomes imperishable. Because the more it becomes, the less of you that is in it, the more that you are simply the container for next level mind, the more imperishable it is. You cannot be gotten rid of. You are still that soul, that container, that mechanism of choice that says more, more. I'm thirsty, I want more. I want to get rid of this, I want more. That is you. That is all that is you. But as that advances, you become not concerned for you, but concerned for your unit, or concerned for your place as a spoke in a wheel. And that's not a put down. It's glorious. I mean, it's so much more significant and important than what any individual could become. It's ridiculous. any individual that can become anything as an individual instead of as the Creator designed it is very short-lived. Until it is no more. There went that yawn. These little plants, you know, these little plants, as they hear this kind of stuff, it's like, and they yawn.
Can we ask the next level for less yawns?
Yes, you can.
Next level, I would like less yawns.
Okay. When you feel that you're getting, that you need to keep aware of your vehicle's condition. And if your vehicle is getting a little sluggish, which it can easily get when we're sitting talking about this kind of information, you can easily almost receive so much nourishment in this manner that you forget to feed oxygen to the vehicle. And so suddenly the vehicle is just going like this, and you're saying, I wanted to listen, what's happening? I can't listen. And you have to then, make an effort to get alert again and take in enough air systematically to keep it active. Listen, when my older member is speaking through me, it is such a joy to me to give it away that I'm afraid at times I can even drain energy from whoever's close in order to deliver that information. I've experienced that happening too many times. When T and I used to sit next to each other in a meeting, and one was really going and it was really getting strong, the other one was just going like this, and we would have to systematically bring it back to life. But it's like it become a battery that is lending itself. If I was speaking and T was listening very, very carefully and trying to feed to me and trying to help me when I might go a little astray or in any way, the energy that T would be feeding me while I would be speaking would cause T to have to get erect again and to take more air in to just keep from the vehicle collapsing. And I know when I get excited, when I'm being used in that way, that I can easily, without realizing it, draw whatever energy is available to tap in order to assist in the delivery of that information. It's just part of the mechanism. Okay? What time is it? 9:20. You have to be out of here by 8 in the morning. Okay, we're going to call it quits for tonight. And because let's talk for a minute. Turn the tape off.